everybody, it's me, Laura, and today we're going to delve into my most favorite cane of all time, the square kaleidoscope cane. Notice I'm pointing to that green cane. It's the only one that's not wrapped in black. But I want to just share with you here, I'm going to show you right here, it's like 2¼ inches in width on that Bullseye cane. This one's 1½ by about 1¾ on the Fanfold cane. The spiral is 1¾ and then my logs, the white one, is about, I had to pinch it a little bit. Yeah, close to 1 inch, in diameter, and then close to 1 inch also on the pink one. And then I have the green cane, which is also in that same zone when it comes to size. So anyways, you're going to compile a bunch of these canes together into this form right here. And then from here, we're going to go ahead and reduce this down. So I call this my clay combination cane. And the reason is because this cane is the key to all of the patterns coming up. The placement of each cane in this combination is crucial. And because it is so crucial, at some point, I will cut off a slice of this cane for documentation purposes once I have reduced it down to about, 1 inch to 2 inches in diameter. Probably closer to 2 inches though. But then I will go ahead, I'll bake that slice, and I'll keep it. So when I want to create this cane again, recreate it, I will have the placement of where each cane was in the combination, the colors I used, and the types of canes I used, such as like the Bullseye cane and so on. I can then recreate this cane, not just once, but many times over if I wish to. So this kaleidoscope method I am showing you here will leave you no room for guessing, and you'll be able to recreate your favorite kaleidoscopes. So here I've reduced this cane down now, and I've got it about into that 1 to 2 inch zone. So I'm going to cut off my ends, take off my junk ends, and keep those. Oh my goodness, they're going to be so much fun. Maybe a little bit more in on that side. But as you can tell here, it deteriorated quite a bit on in. So I'm going to go ahead and take that off as well. And I know there are ways in which you can go ahead and make it so you don't lose a lot on the ends of your cane. If you wish to use those methods, that's fine. But for me, I like the junk canes, so I'm going to keep them. Anyways, I have this big section now, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to show you right there. Well, this is 1¼ so a little bit smaller than I usually go with, but it's still in that zone. It's about 1½ by 1¼ in diameter. Yeah, that will work just fine for me to cut a slice off of this piece and eventually have that for my reference on my clay combination cane. So that being said, I'm going to go ahead and take this larger cane and I'm going to cut it into 3 sections. So I'm going to have a shorter section, actually 2 shorter sections, and then a little bit longer one. And I'm going to take the longer piece and I set that to the side, and the other piece set that to the side, and then I'll have this one to work with for my first combination of kaleidoscope patterns. And as you can tell, it's just easier when you have a smaller piece. Of course, my registration mark on the side, and then I'm going to take this piece, and really it's just going to be a reducing down now of this. So you thought, wait a minute, I thought I was done reducing. No, I've gotten it down to this point where I like to have that slice where I'm going to go ahead and cut that off later. But at this point for me, I wanted to cut it into 3 sections because the kaleidoscope method in this will give you 9 different patterns. And from those 9 different patterns, you're going to need 3 sections each. And I'll show you how and why that works here in a little bit. But let's go ahead and reduce this down. And as I reduce this down, I'm going to eventually get it to a point where I'm going to cut this piece into another set of 3 separate sections. Okay, so at this point, I am measuring this reduced down cane and about to cut it. The diameter of these canes are now 1/2 to 6/8 of an inch. And then from here, I will take one of these combination canes and start to create our first set of square kaleidoscope canes. Our first set of patterns starts with 3 of these canes, and we're going to go ahead and set 2 of them to the side. And I'm going to take one set of that combination, I'm going to roll it out just a little bit more, Not too much. It's already been reduced down quite a bit. So we'll go ahead, and from there I'm going to start to pinch. I'm going to use that green line, that is your registration line, and you're going to start to push and press against your surface, creating a triangular cane. And you can tell my clay's a little sticky, but it'll work. So I will put this on all three sides. So I'll put that against my surface of my tile there, and I'll even pull it a little bit. The nice thing with Kato, I love that you can pull the cane. Really, really durable kind of clay. And then also press into a triangular kind of cane. Now I stress making a very, very, how do I say it, tight or very triangular kind of cane. It's not going to look round at all. You want to make sure it's very much a triangle. And then once you have that, you're going to cut this thing in half. So I'm going to find my mark here, and about in there, and I'm just going to go ahead and cut that in half. All right, I've cut these two pieces in half, and once I've done that, take one of those pieces and cut a single slice from it, and that'll give you a single triangle piece. This goes from, the reason why I do this is, again, for that documentation. That circular piece where I had the clay combination, now you've got a triangle. And now I'm going to go ahead and take those two canes and mirror them together with the green registration mark coming together in the center. Once I have this, I'm going to cut another slice of that. And yes, it's going to be the two pieces together. Now if you have to reshape it a little bit with your blade, and I'm going to do that right here, I'm just like, okay, I'm going to reshape that just to show you what it looked like when you put the two pieces together. That's another step in your process of documenting how you're going to go ahead and create these kaleidoscope patterns. All right, now with your index fingers and your thumbs, you're going to take that cane you just put together, and you're going to push into this diamond-shaped looking cane and turn it into a square cane. And I start from the center and then come forward or come out towards the end, and you can see automatically how that went right into a square cane. So this way then, turn it around, do the same thing on the other side. Once you have that done, go ahead and take your acrylic roller and roll once or twice on each side of this square cane, and use consistent pressure on each of those sides. Now that you have that done, again, you're going to cut another slice, and this is again a part of that documentation of knowing, oh, okay, this is what it looks like when I put this combination together and when I push it into this square cane. It'll give you a roadmap automatically into developing these kaleidoscope canes. I've cut off the junk area of the cane end, and so now I'm using my ruler and I'm measuring, and then I'm going to get ready to cut this into 4 separate sections. Now that I have those 4 separate sections cut, we're going to go ahead and we're going to take the green. We're going to use our registration line yet again, and we're going to put the registration line, that green registration line, pointed towards the center. Now for me, when I cut these, sometimes they're off maybe just a little bit, so I try to match them up as best I can. They're not generally off by much, but maybe a little. And we're just going to easily put all 4 together, creating your first kaleidoscope pattern. Okay, so now I'm taking another section of this cane and that I'd set off to the side, and we're going to squeeze that into that triangle piece yet again. Squeeze to both sides on all 3 sides, making a really nice, crisp, clear triangle cane. Once you have that, you're going to go ahead and I've got that black keeps dragging a little bit, but that's not a problem. Don't worry about that. We're going to go ahead, and once you have that nice triangular piece, cut that in half, and then cut off your, your junk cane ends from this, because that happens. Once you have that, and you're going to mirror it, okay? And notice I'm like, no, I'm looking at this, wait a minute, I'm mirroring. No, you don't mirror it that way. This was something I'm like, this is why I like to document it, because it gives me a clear path. No, that wasn't the mirror. So I'm like, no, I got to take that apart, and I got to mirror it, that's right, with the spiral in the center. So once I have that, then I'm on the right track. All right, now we can go ahead and from the center, yet again, we're pushing in to create that square cane. There you go. And then we'll go ahead and we'll take our acrylic roller and yet again, roll it with even pressure on all four sides. And that way then we'll get a nice, crisp, square kind of cane. Now that you have that, cut off the junk end. And then again, you're going to cut this thing into 4 different sections. Here I am using my last kaleidoscope pattern to see what combination I started, and instead of having those green registration lines pointed towards the center of the cane, let's go ahead and point those registration marks away from each other. There you go. This is going to give you that next pattern in your kaleidoscope combinations. So now I'm taking another section of that cane and I'm creating that triangular piece to it, and we are going to create our third pattern. Now the third pattern you are going to get in this set of kaleidoscope patterns is what I call the reverse, or better yet, the connecting kaleidoscope pattern. This pattern is really not a true kaleidoscope, but if you were to create a cane that gives you the option of having both of the 2 previous kaleidoscopes put together into one, then this is the cane for you. This pattern connects both of the 2 previous kaleidoscopes I just made. When you go ahead and put this together, this is what it's going to look like. And depending upon which pattern you would like to have slices of for your project, this cane will give you both options depending upon the direction you lay down the slices you cut from this cane. Here I have laid out the designs I got from making our first set of canes. I have my reduced down version of the clay combination cane along with the first set of kaleidoscopes I created. You might notice that these canes highlight an X-like pattern in them. But let's move on and see what the second set will give us. All right, so here I've taken one of those larger canes I set up to the side earlier, and I'm going to cut this into 3 sections. Once I have those 3 sections, I'm going to take one of those pieces and we'll start working with that to get our second set of canes. As you can tell, I'm going ahead and I'm forming up that triangular cane, and I had a little bit of black that comes off. Just wipe it up with your cane. And then form that triangle cane really nicely. Once you have that done, go ahead and cut it in half. Now, last time, here, make sure you get your triangle. So now that I have my triangle, I'm setting that aside. Let's go ahead and mirror this cane. Now last time we had the spiral in the center. This time we're going to have that graduated Skinner blend from pink to yellow in the center. Now take that cane and go ahead and form up your square cane. Now that you have your square cane, go ahead and cut your 4 sections, and then we'll start to mirror this next set of canes. The first one I'm going to do is I'm taking that green registration line and I'm pointing it outwards. And oh wow, what a beautiful cane that is. That turned out really nice. But it looks like I had forgotten to go ahead and make my diamond-like looking pattern as to where I would reference mirroring my cane. So let's go ahead and do that real quickly. now that I made that, we can go ahead and create that second cane. All right, with all 4 pieces here, okay, that's how I did that last cane. So let's go ahead and flip it around, and we'll point the registration marks towards the center. Oh, that one's neat too. I love that. Really, really fun. All right, so let's go ahead and create that third and final pattern, which is actually our crossover pattern or our connecting kaleidoscope pattern. And there's the connecting piece to those 2 patterns. Here's the second set of patterns laid out for you, and in this set you may see an emphasis on a cross-like feature that stands out with this set. But we've got one more set to go. Let's go ahead and do that now. Here on our final set of kaleidoscope canes, we are going to take the green registration marks and mirror them away from each other. Not together, but away. This way then it'll put that green like bullseye cane right in the center. And you'll have the registration marks on the outside. Once you have the registration marks mirrored away from each other, cut a slice of this cane for reference, and then squeeze the cane into a square cane. Once you have that, cut your 4 sections and mirror them, creating your next kaleidoscope cane. As you go to create the first pattern in our final set, you may think, oh, wait a minute. I just made another cross-patterned cane with the spiral emphasis in that cross. But that's not true. Look at this cane really closely, and you'll see that the Skinner blend cane is not towards the center. It's on the outside. So this is why I found it very important to document what kind of kaleidoscopes you can get from a clay combination, because you may think you got a repeat when really you didn't. I've made so many of these canes over the years that it can be tricky to create the square kaleidoscope if there isn't something very distinctive or different between the original combination of canes. You can easily get lost in this. And for those of you who are wondering, I will be creating my own patterns and putting them up on my Patreon page. So if you would really enjoy getting more of this sort of thing, just remember along those lines, I will be announcing when my Patreon is finished, and check me out then, because I plan to have those patterns available when you subscribe. All right, so let's go ahead and cut another 4 sections on this and create our next pattern in this third set of kaleidoscope canes. This third set of canes for me has always emphasized a more rounded type of design in the cane itself, or in the design, the design in the cane. Of course, part of this is due to what pops out at you when the canes get put together. And this is how, at least this is how I've always seen them. So here I'm cutting my last cane part so that we can go ahead and get our connecting pattern for our last piece to this whole kaleidoscope series. And we're making that triangle yet again. We'll go ahead and then mirror that, and then once we have that mirror, we'll make that square kind of cane. And once we have the square cane, then from there we'll go ahead and mirror 4 sections that we've cut. So here I am, I'm now taking this particular cane and I'm making that connecting kaleidoscope. And I've kind of noticed something in doing all this that I hadn't really noticed before, is that the center of your cane is facing away from, your usual center is facing away from the center in your connecting cane. And that would make sense since the other two patterns have distinct centers. So here I have my third and final set of kaleidoscope patterns. As I mentioned before, I have found that these patterns can give you a more circular design within those canes. And now I have all three sets of the square kaleidoscope patterns I've created in this video. I hope you will try to recreate one of these canes yourself. They are so much fun. So please use this for study and reference. And if you like this video, please like, subscribe, and leave me a message. I would love to know what you're thinking. And as always, I am sending out my biggest hugs to each of you, and I hope you have a fantastic day.